What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Pigskin Banter. I'm your host, Gordon, and we may be joined by Shreyas. We may be joined by Ali at some point today. Not too clear. We'll see. If they can join, they can. If not, it's all good. Shreyas was in the call. He just left, so who knows. And Ali says he's dodging because he doesn't want to get roasted for the Steelers game, but Ali, if you're listening, I won't roast you. I just want to hear what you got to say. That being said, oh boy, we have some interesting QB rankings to get to today with a lot of backup QBs now playing. But before we get into that, some notes about this week in the NFL. Justin Jefferson will be playing on Sunday, it seems, so that's good for him. Nick Bosa calls out Jalen Hurts and says they have a formula for Jalen Hurts, so the Niners did all their trash talk after losing. They win, and now they're still trash talking. It's like, you won. You don't need to say anything else. You proved it on the field. Like, why are you still going? I don't know. I don't get it, but whatever. Also, the whole idea of keeping Hurts in the pocket, and that's when they lose when he's one of the best pocket passers in the league statistically by quarterback rating, passer rating is dumb. But whatever. That was not the reason the Eagles lost. It was more so the defense than it was Jalen Hurts not playing well. Hurts didn't have the best game ever, but he also wasn't like bad. It wasn't like a bad game necessarily. It just, yeah, defense is horrible. Anyway, what else is going on? Oh, Bills have some interesting news come out where the coach apparently was using the 9/11 terrorist attacks as ways of saying, the terrorists had great team building and they came together to do a job right, and yeah, not a good idea. I'm amazed there has been more that's come out from this. Tons of jokes on Twitter, and yeah, just not a good look. Bills, why do you continue to do this to your fans? Why? No need to make those God, what a disaster. Anyway, last night's game was horrible for anybody that did watch, and last night was the rise of the backups, another backup battle, as it seems every game in the NFL has been now, where so many quarterbacks are hurt, we have so many backups going on, and it's a lot to keep track of. But Zappy going in against Mitch Trubisky, Mr. Kiss and Titties, and good Lord, the Patriots get out to that 18-3 lead, and 21-3 lead, and it's looking like it's over for the Steelers. Then towards the end of the game, Steelers bullshit kind of happens, and everybody goes, "Oh great, here comes Tomlin, here comes their record. Everything's gonna be fine for the Steelers once again." But didn't end up being the case. They couldn't get it done. And the Steelers lose, and they now drop 2 games in a row to teams with only 2 wins on the season, losing to the Cardinals and the Patriots, and that's not good. Both games were at home as well, which is really not good because this was the most winnable game left on their schedule. If that's how they're going to play without Kenny Pickett, they're not winning another game this season. I've said this time and time again. Tomlin's time is up. They need to let him go. And it's not that Tomlin's a bad coach. It's not like Tomlin won't get scooped up by another team. This is very similar to Andy Reid in Philly, where it just wasn't working anymore. And eventually time runs out and you need a new voice in the locker room. You just need somebody new to bring something different. You need to have a new environment. Change it all up. And do I think the first guy they bring in after Tomlin's going to fix everything? Not necessarily. Do I think they're going to get somebody better than Tomlin right away? Not necessarily. But you need to make that change eventually. You cannot cling on to the same guy forever because it eventually does have to change. You have to let go eventually. And all these winning seasons, yeah, he's never had a losing season, but one Super Bowl to show for it. And it just, a lot of times where they get into the playoffs and then they get bounced. They haven't won a playoff game since 2016. They're not good. They're so inconsistent. And yeah, they're consistently inconsistent. And yet they still end up with a winning record every single time. And that winning record's cost them. They're not getting high draft picks. So they don't have all the pieces they need really for a great roster. and Pittsburgh's looking to be in a really bad spot. Belichick, it's kind of funny because everybody's like talking about is Belichick's time up in New England, and after that win, now everybody's going is Tomlin's time up in Pittsburgh, which is kind of funny. I think both coaches have probably overstayed their welcome a bit. However, Belichick, I think they can hold on to till Belichick wants to retire. I think they almost owe it to him with how many Super Bowls he won. While Tomlin, while he does have all those winning records, only one Super Bowl to show for it. I think it might be time to move on. Anyway, what a disaster that game was. I'm sorry for anybody who actually watched it and didn't just watch the score, because it was bad. That being said, let's get to our QB tier list, and I'll pull that up on my end here. All right, our QB. Whoops. That's not right. Let me put it over here. That's not right. All right, hold on. That's right. Okay, there we go. QB tier list, and things need to change. Things definitely need to change on this list. After last week, so. First things first. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. Oh, please, dear God, no. Please, dear God, no. Did it save everything? Please. Why is it being like this? Come on, dear maker. Yeah, it's saved. Okay. Thank God. Okay. So first things first, Taylor Heineke is not injured. We put him in the RIP tier, but he's not injured anymore. Well, I can't figure it out. From everything I see, I'm not seeing that he's still out, but I don't know. So I just put him back up in subpar. That's fine. We also I finally added Aaron Rodgers to the rest in peace tier. And yeah, we'll go through this tier by tier, but first things first, we need to add all our people to the rest in peace tier. So let's go through here. And we had Kenny Pickett. That's not Kenny Pickett. Wait, that is Kenny Pickett. No? Which one's Kenny? Jesus Christ. Kenny Pickett. Was that Kenny? That's Kenny, isn't it? Images. Yeah, that is Kenny. What am I doing? Kenny Pickett, rest in peace. Trevor Lawrence, rest in peace. Who else went down? Trevor Lawrence, Kenny Pickett. I'm trying to think. Who else is hurt? Browns went out and got somebody because, right? Why is Flacco in? Why is Flacco in? Because Deshaun Watson's hurt, and then PJ Walker is not the answer. And who do they have in over PJ? Oh, DTR. Is DTR hurt? Probably. I don't know. Anyway, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. I think DTR did go down with an injury. That would make sense. So that's DTR in there. Let me, I'll do it on my phone to make it look nicer on the screen. Yeah, make sure I'm grabbing the right guy. Yeah, that's DTR, right? DTR Browns. Yeah, that's okay. Grab DTR. We put him down here. Okay. Think that's that settled. We also added 2 new tiers this week. We added needs a roster change tier, and these are for guys that either I think could be something on a new team, or they need pieces added to their team to really see where they're at. And I think that's fair because we've been ranking some QBs bad. Derek Carr also goes down to RIP tier. We've been ranking some QBs as either bad or subpar or whatever, or even bench. And there's some guys that I think probably on a new team could be good, so they have potential on a new team. So first things first. First things first is it? Oh, Browning. Browning can move up. We'll move him up. I think he's been decent. Let's put him right under. Let's put him right above Baker. That seems about right. We'll put him right above Baker. If he has another game like that, he'll be really good. I think Jordan Love has also earned his spot into decent. in his last couple of weeks. I'm going to put him right under Sam Howell. He's had 3 incredible games back to back to back. So yeah, Jordan Love stay climbing. Minshew, his play is subpar, but he wins games. They're gonna make the playoffs. I'll put him at the bottom of decent. Heineke is benched, but he's better than Ritter, so I'm leaving him there. Fields Fields needs a roster change desperately. Hello? Who has joined me?
Hey, what's up?
Hey, what's up? Let me switch us over to grid mode. There we go. Okay. Welcome, Ollie. I'm looking over our tier list. I'm moving guys around. So obviously Kenny Pickett, the Trevor Lawrence, DTR, and Derek Carr have all moved down into RIP tier since they're all injured. I also added 2 new tiers this week in
Right.
the needs a roster change and never again. So needs a roster change is for guys that like I don't think we can fairly judge, or for guys that would be benched on their current roster but might be good somewhere else. So like now Browning we have to just rank because he's gonna be their starter for the rest of the season. But say Burrow could come back. Like Browning is a guy where I might put in need a roster change if he kept looking like how he's looking, but he would be the backup if Burrow is healthy. You know what I mean? So that's kind of why that's there. It's for all that. And so what have I moved? I moved Minshew into the bottom of decent because despite him looking average every week, he has had some solid games. The Colts are probably going to make the playoffs at this point, and I mean Minshew mania, baby. Put him right there with Baker, same energy. I put Browning in decent as well because of the game. Again, he looked really good against the good Jags defense. And Jordan Love, I bumped up. I bumped up big time to almost the top of decent. I put him under Sam Howell. Now, Love, I'm still not 100% sold on, but he's had 3 solid games in a row where he's looking really, really good. So he's climbing. He's definitely climbing.
I mean, yeah, I can't argue with any of that so far. The only thing is, I heard that Trevor Lawrence, there's a chance that he could play this week, believe it or not. So
Really?
depending on that, yeah, I just got the report a couple minutes ago actually that said Trevor Lawrence has a chance this week.
All right, then we will bump.
But I don't know if he's, I don't know, you might have to fact check me on this one, but
No,
there's a chance, you
let,
know?
let, let's leave him in rest in peace tier so he can get some nice rest, and then if he comes back, we'll rank him again. Um,
Fair enough.
all right. Before we continue this, because there are a lot more moves that we need to make and some guys at the bottom that we need to change up. I would love to hear what your take is on the whole Tomlin, because there's so many fire Tomlin takes now, so much about just like George Pickens, just so much talk with him and everything else. Just where's your whole take on the Steelers at this point in the season?
Well, you have to remember that the Steelers, fun fact, they have the cheapest assistant coaching staff in the NFL. They're not paying a single assistant coach, any sort of valuable money because they don't have a single sort of valuable assistant coach. That's because ownership is cheap and refuses to pay them. And there's a little bit of Mike Tomlin's ego where he doesn't want an assistant coach to maybe outshine him, something like that. So that's a fundamental problem of why the Steelers had Matt Canada in the first place. Why they have a committee at OC at the moment to try to make up for it since they fired Canada. The whole thing was broken before it started. Um, in terms of fire Mike Tomlin, let's be realistic here. That's not gonna happen. And I generally don't like the whole this guy needs to be fired take unless you pair that with a he needs to be fired. Here is a potential replacement that can be better than what you already have. Because you
Jeff
can't tell me
Saturday.
Mike Tomlin. What's up?
Jeff Saturday.
I would take him as the offensive line coach at this point, nothing more.
Oh my god.
Uh, Mike Tomlin is. I mean, everyone knew that he was gonna get out coached last night. Everyone knew that it was gonna be Bill Belichick was gonna be better than Mike Tomlin by a long shot. It's how it always is when the Steelers face the Patriots. That's just how it is historically with Tomlin. But I figured the Steelers have a significantly better team. should be able to pull it. As just personnel wise, they should have been able to pull off the win, even if it was a 6-3 win. It should have been a win.
Right.
But the defense didn't know how to act in that first half. I get one of them came on a Mitch Trubisky interception, one of those touchdowns, but and at the same time, um, we're down to our literal sixth middle linebacker of the season.
That's insane.
We've had injuries to Cole Holcomb, to Landon Roberts, to Mikael Walker got hurt at some point. Keanu Neal was playing middle linebacker at some point, and now he's hurt. And who's the last one that I'm missing?
I saw
Kwan Alexander.
I saw T.J. Watt went down with an injury at one point last night. Did he come back in the game?
TJ Watt, he played his regular snap rotations. He doesn't play like, 90% of snaps every week.
Mm-hmm.
So he's fine. He just
Okay.
got kneed in the jaw. They checked him out. He was okay.
Gotcha. Yeah, I did not torture myself with that game. I had an exam this morning, so I was keeping track of the score. I was seeing some of the tweets, but I did not get to watch that beautiful
Yeah.
masterpiece of a game. Yeah.
The game ended up being better than a lot of people. It hit the over in the first half, so let's give some offense some credit there.
It's very funny
It
to
did hit
me
the over.
and very fishy to me that they set the over at
100%.
under at 30, and everyone's like, "Oh, take the under, take the under, take the under," and somehow both teams scored a ton of points. Is like, well, not a ton, but like more than enough. It's like,
Yeah.
mm,
Factor that in with the fact that they had 31 combined in the first half. I
yeah,
knew with over under with 30.
right,
Pair that with the fact that like 83% of people chose the under. So Vegas really cashed. I told you, the league is owned by Vegas. So if Vegas says you know, hit the over, they're going to hit the over. They're going to find a way.
right. Question for you, because the Steelers have had this kind of thing where they look horrible all game, and then at the end of the game they somehow win it. When they scored that touchdown, the 2 point conversion to cut the lead down to 3, did you think they were gonna win the game after that, or were you convinced? Nah, they're still losing.
I thought we were going to win the game the moment that when we got into the end zone. Actually, no, I would argue I thought we were gonna win the game when we cut it to 21-10 at halftime. I thought, okay, yeah, this is gonna happen, isn't it? And then we get a touchdown, 21-16, and I said, okay, there's no way that they're converting this 2 point conversion, 21-16.
Mm-hmm.
We'll end up scoring another touchdown and win 22-21. But that didn't happen. The second touchdown never came, of course.
Of course.
Mitch Trubisky is former Pro Bowler Mitch Trubisky. He's not making any Pro Bowls this season.
No.
Uh,
Although with the amount of quarterback injuries, who knows?
what pisses me off is Steelers fans calling for Mason Rudolph like he's gonna be good. Mason Rudolph, that's like when Jets fans ask for Tim Boyle. Like there's no, it's not gonna help at all. They're the same caliber quarterbacks. Both of them should not be in the NFL.
Listen,
They're both.
this is my take on Rudolph. The season is lost anyway, and it's close to Christmas, so might as well put Rudolph in.
Yeah, I'd rather bring back Duck Hodges at this point.
Yeah, but Rudolph for Christmas vibes. Let him guide your sleigh to a winning record for Tomlin. Oh, good lord! You know how many memes there would be if Tomlin put in Rudolph and they ended up with a winning record. Just
The Steelers are absolutely going to end up with a winning record. In my
how?
opinion, they're going to
They're
beat
not winning another
Indianapolis
game
because
with their
that's the,
current schedule. If
they're
they
definitely going to no, they're pulling this off. They're going to beat Cincinnati the second time, and they're going to beat Indianapolis next week for 9-8.
if Browning and Minshew play like they did this past week, they're not beating anybody.
Oh no, Browning wasn't good. Okay, the Jags defense was bad that week.
Browning looks solid.
Browning is.
I don't
Oh,
know.
what's up, Shreyas?
Hello, hello.
I don't know. I think Browning's gonna be a decent backup in the league, and who knows, could potentially be a guy that you bring in if your quarterback goes down. Like I feel like he's one of those in his future, like next year or the year after, he's gonna be one of those guys that comes in at the trade deadline, like the next Josh Dobbs.
I think you're rating him a little bit high for one game. He did have a couple games where he just flat out sucked. So we're gonna have to figure it out from there.
Fair
The
enough.
Steelers do have a solid backup caliber quarterback on their roster. His name is Kenny Pickett, and he's probably the only one on this roster that's good enough to be a backup in the NFL. Um,
Would you take Philip Rivers over Mitch?
oh, we're talking about like Philip Rivers right now,
Yeah.
or
Philip,
Colts Philip
because
Rivers, or
remember how there was talk of Philip Rivers maybe coming out of retirement to play for the 49ers last year if they beat the Eagles? Like, would you take Philip Rivers right now over Mitch?
honestly, I would have to see him run it in camp. I need to see if he still has his arm.
I think I'd take left arm Drew Brees over Mitch at this point.
Yeah, I forgot. Drew Brees can't use his right arm at all, right?
No, he has to throw lefty with his kids because his right arm is that messed up. Which, I feel so bad for him. Which, again, and for everybody that shits on Andrew Luck, this is why he did what he did. Like, I am happy for Andrew Luck that he was able to retire with quality of life. Like,
I feel like most people would have forgiven Andrew Luck a lot faster. It wasn't the fact that he retired early, it was the fact that when he retired, it was like right before the season started, gave him no chance to bring in a replacement. And they pretty much just said, yeah, we're rolling with Jacoby Brissett and seeing what happens.
right.
Yeah,
But they had no other choice.
I can see why the Colts fans booed him that day he retired. Because yeah, it is kind of like, well, you could have said this earlier or something.
Yeah, but
I mean, I'm shocked.
this is my thought. Is Andrew Luck said, all right, we'll try it one more time, and then got out on that field and went, oh, wait, this is Jim Irsay. This is Colts management. I'm not going to have any protection again. I'm going to die out here. Yeah, no, screw this. I'm done. Like,
You know,
I mean, what's funny is he
people
was
would have known that after like day one of training camp compared to like the last week of the
yeah, I
preseason.
guess. It just.
funny. He had a good 2018 season. I mean, he led the Colts to the divisional
Dude,
round.
Andrew Luck is a Hall of Famer, one of the best quarterbacks of the era, if not the best of this era, just behind Mahomes, if not for retiring early, if I were to guess. If the Colts actually gave him some weapons and some good protection with a decent O-line, Luck is one of the best quarterbacks in recent memory, like, by far. But we'll never know.
Without a doubt. Yeah, I think you're right about that. I'm trying to think of another quarterback that could. RG3 was a potential one that got ruined at a very young age.
It's crazy how many quarterbacks when quarterbacks go 1-2, how many of those guys just did not pan out. Like Luck and RG3 both had injuries and retired early. You had Mariota and Winston, neither of which have ever really been that much. You had Goff and Wentz, where Wentz, I mean, he had that great run, but then got hurt and hasn't been the same. And Goff wasn't that great, but now he's looking better. So, I mean, I don't know.
What's even funnier is when one turns out to be generational and the other one turns out to be a complete bust.
Yeah.
Like Peyton Manning, Ryan Leaf.
Right.
Good point.
All right.
I mean, I think Jameis on the Saints, but I don't know why Derek Carr's still there. I mean, that's just my opinion.
Well then, speaking of Jameis, since he now is on our tier list, where should we rank Jameis? Hold
on, let me see the tier list. Hold on.
So, I genuinely, at this point with Jameis, I put him probably subpar, like above Heineke and Levis. Like, that's where I put him.
Yeah.
Joe Flacco, Shreyas, what did you think of Joe Flacco in the year 2023?
Flacco, even though he signed with the Browns and broke my fucking heart, I would probably put him at subpar because you got to give him his flowers. He is a Super Bowl MVP and a Super Bowl champ. But like I said, I think it's time to hang it up at this point.
Ollie,
I mean, he didn't look bad. I'll put it that way. But he also showed why he's been bouncing around the league last couple of years.
Yeah.
Joe Flacco should have never came out of retirement. If it was up to me, we'd stick him right back in to retire.
Let's do it. To retire with Joe Flacco. All right, Bailey Zappi.
I mean,
Ali, I feel like
he
you
has had.
got to see the best of Bailey Zappi. So where are we ranking Bailey Zappi at this point? Since Mac Jones is going to spring
Yeah,
football.
well, Bailey Zappi still couldn't give you a complete game. Bailey Zappi couldn't give you a complete game. The guy was trash in that second half. But he did play well in the first half. Hit Hunter Henry a couple of times. He hit Juju on a nice play.
Do you think Bailey
Well, I still don't
Zappi
think Bailey...
is a decent QB with a better roster in New England? Like, do you
I
think
think
he
he's a
could actually be a
backup caliber quarterback.
backup?
No, I think Bailey Zappi's going to stick around in the league for like 10 years as a backup.
All
Better back, but he's not a good starter. He's
All
a good backup.
We'll put him as the second best bench player, right behind Tommy DeVito. Alrighty.
Yeah, why not?
Oh, Tyler Boyd. He's going straight. He's on here for the never again tier.
Mention that name.
No. Tyler Boyd is going in the never again tier. While yes, there are other guys that have thrown touchdowns this season. Derrick Henry, I think, threw one this season. There are other guys that have thrown passes that aren't quarterbacks, and they're not on here. Tyler Boyd did something so egregious, so horrible, it deserves to be on this tier list in the never again tier. So, yeah. Tyler Boyd, absolutely not. Oh my god, that was hilarious.
Yeah, well, happy to know he actually sucks. He's overrated as fuck. Made one play and that's it.
All right. What do we think of Beat Hard? I know it's Beathard, but Beat Hard is funnier. What do we think of him?
Yeah.
What do we think? Do we think he's bench worthy, or do we think he's not going to be on our roster next season?
He's a backup for a reason, so I'm predicting he will not be on the roster.
Ollie, what did you think from his performance?
It's really hard to judge a guy based on one night.
Like one half of a game.
Yeah, literally played like one half of a game. And I don't really remember him when he was on the 49ers. I know he's been on other teams and played before.
Right.
I think he was one of those quarterbacks that were like when San Francisco was having those quarterback troubles back in 2018. I think he was one of the quarterbacks that played. I think.
Yeah. To stick around in the league for 5+ years, you got to be doing something right.
All right, bench behind Zach Wilson, because now I actually genuinely feel bad for Zach Wilson. Not that he's a good quarterback, I just feel bad because of how the Jets have treated him. Which, to be fair, he deserved to be benched, but all this after is ridiculous. Anyway, our final guy here, who is this? Jesus, who did I put on this list? I knew who this was, and now I can't remember the face. Who am I staring at?
Gordon, when you talk about Zach Wilson, I don't think he's part of the problem. I don't think he is the problem. Now, I don't like how he was. I don't not respect how he was treated at all. I mean, that's not something you do. That's not something you do to a guy you invested a second overall pick in. But then again, he hasn't played to a second overall pick standard either. It's just a complete shit show in New York, and I feel bad for whichever quarterback is in this. Over there right now, whoever's dealing with that.
Oh, it's Trevor Siemian. That's who this is. I'm like, what guy is this? Yeah, Trevor Siemian. As much as I said that he should start over Tim Boyle, oh boy, Trevor Siemian was not any better. Trevor Siemian to spring football as well. Join Tim Boyle. Oh.
Well, like I said, Trevor Siemian's been in the league for a while. I mean, there's a reason why he hasn't panned out.
He at least has he had a decent touchdown to interception ratio going into the game. Like,
he was a pretty good backup back when he was in Denver. He wasn't like a scrub, but now he's a scrub.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. All right, so now that we have all the guys on there, MVP tier. I think we can keep all three guys up there.
I don't think so.
I think
we have to demote Mahomes.
All right, now how I would do it is I would actually put Dak Prescott up at the MVP and demote Mahomes and Lamar.
That's fair.
Yeah.
And I don't want
I
to
know
put
Bilal probably.
I don't want to put Purdy in there because I think CMC deserves it more. But because it's a QB award, I feel like we're almost obligated to put him up there.
I'm not falling for. I'm quirky and unique and not like the other media
Let's
men.
do it. All
And
right,
I'm not
let's
going to
do it.
conform to their standards.
Let's do it then. We'll keep him in. I may put him at the top of good.
Yeah, why not?
All right, top.
Purdy.
Yeah, Purdy. All right. Who? Justin Herbert still has no help. Nothing can really change there. Stafford is starting to look really, really good, guys. He's starting to really heat up again. I I am liking what I'm seeing from him. I still think he's good tier based on the entire season, but he is definitely heating up again. And the Rams, I genuinely feel like they could be a sleeper team going into the playoffs. They have the experience. Sean, you can never count out their coaching. It just and they got with Puka and Cup. As long as Stafford stays healthy, they're a threat offensively. I feel like they could catch a team sleeping on them. Interesting note though is something I saw recently about would the Eagles actually be better off if the Niners went to number one because basically the path if you're the number one seed you're most likely playing the Cowboys next because the odds are the Cowboys are going to end up as the top wild card and they're going to play whoever's in the NFC South and so if you're the one seed you play the Cowboys who could actually be a real tough opponent in the playoffs versus if you're the two seed you potentially play if you're the two seed then you're playing whoever the seventh seed is so you're playing either the Vikings or the Seahawks or the Packers one of those or the Rams you're playing one of those teams and then you're getting the Lions after that and honestly I think a matchup against whoever the seventh seed is and then the Lions is way easier than just one game against the Cowboys. And then you only have to play either the Cowboys or Niners, whoever comes out of that, instead of both. If you're the Eagles, if you end up as the one seed, you're playing probably the Cowboys and the Niners. I actually like their odds more as the two seed at this point.
Well, hold up. If so, Gordon, with what you're predicting the Eagles are getting the one seed, right?
So the two situations are Eagles and 49ers flip flop between 1 and 2. You say the Lions are slotted in at 3 and NFC South is obviously 4. At this point then the Cowboys would be at 5 and in those two situations I think it's better for the Eagles to be at 2 than they are at 1 in that specific situation.
Well, it depends who you're going to play as a seventh team. I mean, if you're going to play the Vikings, we know the Vikings can play teams close. They're a pretty stingy team overall.
Yeah, but I still think you're better off playing the seventh seed in the Lions than you are, and then one of the Cowboys or 49ers than you are at trying to beat both the Cowboys and the 49ers.
The way how I look at it, I
I
mean, given what's happening, I mean, I think this is something I actually want to ask you. This is we're talking about quarterbacks. Have you seen Nick Bosa's comments he made? I think
Oh,
yesterday or a
he's an
couple days
idiot.
ago.
He's like those comments
Was it?
are completely without the whole idea of keep Jalen in the pocket has been disproven time and time again. He has a 104 passer rating when kept within the pocket since like the start of last season, I believe. It's a complete BS stat. It's yeah.
I never understand why I see all these memes of Nick Bosa hating black quarterbacks. I never understood the meme of that. I never understood like explain me the meme or like whatever the fuck it's supposed to like. I don't get it.
Was it Bosa that was a Trumper? I thought somebody on the
He
Niners.
was, yeah. I was gonna say that's the joke. The joke was that he's a Republican coming out of the draft. He said he had tweets resurface or something like that he was Republican. Now people are gonna assume that he's a racist, pretty much.
Well, he is facing two more black quarterbacks next, I think.
Hmm.
He's facing I think last week was Jalen Hurts. This week's Geno Smith. Who's next? Who do the Niners play the following week after this?
I don't know, actually.
And then they play in Christmas Day, so that's oh boy. Nick Bosa might have a field day.
But
I just wanted to go back real quick. Just
yeah,
go back real quick to that thing we were talking about the Eagles and the seedings and that sort of stuff.
right.
Because I'm not gonna lie, I kind of strongly disagree with what y'all were saying. You guys are kind of discounting the value of that bye week that the one seed gets. And I think that bye week makes it definitely worth it to try to get that one seed and then, try to go through Dallas or whoever it is. But also at the same time, upsets do happen, wild cards do win, and Atlanta could very well beat Dallas if I'm being honest with you. And then you get a much easier matchup because Dallas is known to choke in the playoffs.
That's
Or what
true.
if the 6th seed wins? Like you can't be what you need to do is take care of business, try to get that one seed while you still can, and then worry about everyone else later. If you consider yourself to be the best team in the league, you shouldn't be looking at other teams. You should be trying to get that bye week and be fresh for when the playoffs start.
And that's fair. I just part of it is we've seen now we didn't see it last year, but there have been times where the team with the bye week doesn't necessarily have the same momentum that the team that just won a playoff game has. So I know it's extra wear and tear, but sometimes momentum can't be underrated either. So it's yeah.
I think we need to look at the what teams do, what like how they handle like, say if a team's already clinched a guaranteed clinch for the one seed. Sometimes the team will tend to rest their players. I know the Ravens did that in 2019, and I think that's what ultimately costed them because when they played Tennessee in 2019, they looked like they the whole team just fell apart.
Right.
I mean, it's but then again, when you look at it, it's a double-edged sword. You look at it like, okay, well, if you rest the guys, if you play the guys in a game that doesn't you're not really playing for anything, you got everything all set, then somebody gets hurt, you're wondering, oh well, why did you play him? But then you rest the guys, they look rusty when they play in 3 weeks after. You wonder, well, why did we should have just played them. It's just a double edged sword, honestly. I mean,
Yeah.
if I look at it, you play somebody for like one drive or two drives and just rest everybody. That's how I look at it. If you're a team that's already guaranteed a one seed, you clinched it already, nothing to play
Yeah.
for. I look at it like playing for one drive. It's a risk. It's risky, but that's how I look at it.
I won't be mad if they're the one seed or anything. It's just I'm not panicking if they end up as the two seed. Like I don't think I think it actually might not be the worst thing ever if it were to happen. Is kind of what like
I do think will come to the last game of the season because when you look at the AFC, Baltimore, Miami play each other week 17. So who knows what records they'll have? Yeah, that could very well be the one seed, the one that decides
dude,
the
the
one seed. I
AFC
mean,
is so messed up. Who knows?
oh, it is. And then you got the Niners, Eagles, Cowboys, and Lions also. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, I think if Dallas wins the Sunday night, aren't don't they take the division lead, don't they?
Yeah, but they have to still play the Lions and the Dolphins, while the Eagles have two games against the Giants left. It's the schedules after that are not even close. Like the Eagles have one of the easiest schedules at that point, and Dallas has one of the toughest. So
I
it's
mean, people can say what about Dallas. I mean, I would take Dallas more seriously than Miami if I'm honest with you, because I think Dallas has managed to put a
oh no, I'm
Dallas
not
Dallas
saying
man.
Dallas isn't. I'm not saying they can't compete with those teams. It's just schedule wise, they're going to have a tougher schedule, and they would be tied.
Miami
And the Eagles and Cowboys, if the Eagles lose, will be tied record wise. So, based on
is a
that
team.
alone, the Eagles have a better shot of winning the division still.
Yeah, Miami's a team I cannot take seriously at all. I mean, like when they play the good teams, I mean the whole team looks really bad. It's not like
Their
I mean
defense
Dallas
though,
when
their defense is starting to figure it out with Ramsey returning. So I'd be curious to see how they play against a good team now, versus how they did in the past without Ramsey and whatnot. Because I think the defense is figuring it out now, and I think that's the big game changer for them. But we'll see.
yeah, so far.
Um. Anyway, looking at our list, I don't know if there's anybody else that oh, Bryce Young. Bryce Young, while he has not been good, that I think he deserves roster change because we looked at a stat last or on the last show, and the stat basically was the amount the like the percentage of completed passes when guys versus like guys not getting open or whatnot. And Bryce Young had been completing like difficult passes more than any quarterback with some of the worst separation for receivers versus defenses. So I think Bryce Young needs a roster change before we can properly rank him. I think he deserves to go up there with Justin Fields, but under Justin Fields.
I agree. I mean, I was saying it for a while. I think Bryce Young is. I think you can't put it all on him because it's like roster is just so bad over there. I mean, you can even put Mahomes in that roster. I don't think they'll do anything.
Right.
It's not bad.
I do find it quite funny that no quarterback, no quarterback for the Patriots, Jets, or Giants are even ranked in our list at this point. Actually, the Jags as well, because Lawrence is hurt, but because of the injuries, all their quarterbacks, no matter how many guys they've had, all fall on bench or lower, which is quite entertaining to me. But I mean, it's also accurate. Okay, I think that does it for our tier list for this week, so I will save that off. And yeah, we can look at this week's matchups. So I'm going to switch this over here, and then let's look at the matchups of this week. So, this week in the NFL, we already had Thursday night. We already talked about that. Coming up on Sunday, we have Bucks and Falcons, and personally, I'm taking the Bucks here. I have faith in Baker Mayfield. But I do think it's going to be close. It's being played in Atlanta. It's a division game. And the NFC South has been a shit show. But the other thing is, I don't feel like any team is going to run away with the division in the South. And so in order to keep the drama alive, Falcons losing to the Bucks would keep that drama alive.
I agree.
Yeah, I went with the Falcons, though, just because I flipped a coin. I just said, screw it. Flip the coin. Landed on Falcons.
To the coin. Oh my god. I'm sorry for whoever watches this game. Watch Baker. Now that I said that, Baker's going to set the touchdown records in a game and beat Nick Foles and Peyton Manning's record of 7 and throw for 8. And I'll be mad. But that would be... Could you imagine that? Baker Mayfield throws for 8 touchdowns in one game. That would be the most Falcons thing to happen. Anyway... Lions Bears, I think we all are on the same page. This should be a blowout. However, the Lions last time they played the Bears gave their entire fans a scare. Now they did pull it out in the end. This game is being played in Chicago instead, which again, if the Lions that played the Bears last time show up, the Lions are probably going to lose in Chicago, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're going to learn from their mistakes, and I'd be amazed if the Lions somehow fell to the Bears here.
Honestly, I think the Lions are starting to kind of crash back down to earth the last couple of weeks. They blew their lead against the Saints. They lost on Thanksgiving. They just haven't been looking like that same Lions team.
Right.
I would say it was after where they really haven't looked the same.
Yeah, Baltimore killed them, and they haven't really been the same after that, right?
I would say after
did they have one good game after that?
I don't recall. Maybe they might have. I remember because I think if I'm not mistaken,
they didn't have that shootout with the Chargers.
Oh, was that the game after the Ravens? Was the shootout?
Yeah, I think so.
But even then, they looked terrible defensively.
They beat the Raiders. They beat the Raiders, and then. Right.
Okay.
And they beat the Raiders by 12, but didn't the Raiders didn't score in garbage time. Oh, so it was just close game.
That was the last game Josh McDaniels coach as the Raiders, I think, because they fired him a couple.
Yeah. So yeah,
it was a different Raiders team.
All I know is they have not been as dominant, and if not for the wins they picked up early in the season, and if not for the NFC being as horrible as it is, and the NFC South being getting the 4th seed no matter what, Detroit would be in a lot more trouble. But you end up, you can't. It's not their fault that everybody else in their division is subpar and how the division. If you're Dallas, man, and I hate the Cowboys, but even I can sit here and go, Dallas it is so unfair that just because they have the Eagles in their division, or if the Eagles end up getting second in the division, Dallas, it is so unfair that they have to play away for the entire playoffs while a team like the Falcons get to host a playoff game. I hate it. Like, I'd be fine. Like, I genuinely be fine if every single division got their top team in the playoffs, but then seed 1 through 7 by record. Like, I don't know. That's how I do it. I still think that it should be seeded because like I hate this whole oh no, you get a reward for winning your division. Like the fact that the Commanders hosted the Bucks and then almost beat the Bucks on they played the Bucks closer than anybody when the Bucks won the Super Bowl, which is funny. But like the fact that the Commanders hosted a playoff game that season, the 6-10 Giants could have hosted a playoff game that season. Like that shouldn't be happening.
I mean, when 6 out of the 17 games, so almost or more than a third of your games are divisional games, the division definitely has to mean something. So I think division winners should be able to get into the playoffs and that sort of stuff.
I'm fine with them getting in playoffs, but if you told me that the 6-10 Giants were more deserving to host a playoff game that year than Brady and the Bucks that year.
Well, Brady and the Bucks weren't good that year either.
That was the year they won the Super Bowl.
Saying like when you talk about the regular season, there was question if Brady was finished at one point because of he didn't look good himself either. With all the free agent signings he put I think he signed Antonio Brown and that was heavily criticized.
Team and their top wild card team was just the Saints are really good that year.
Yeah, I keep forgetting that was Drew Brees on barely a right on.
Yeah, the reason why the Buccaneers were a wild card that year was because the Saints swept them. Like the Buccaneers had every chance to not be a wild card, and they couldn't take it.
The idea of the 6-10 Giants hosting a playoff game, like over
the fact
had a way better record, is just disgusting. Yeah, that's all. Anyway, let's move on to our next game. We got Colts Bengals, and this is interesting to me because I get that the Bengals have beat the Jags and whatnot. But when looking at ESPN's pick'ems, the Colts are actually the underdogs here. 52% of people took the Bengals over the Colts. And I think the Colts are one of the most disrespected teams right now. Like, I get it. Their wins are ugly. But they're on, a massive win streak right now. And I don't know. I think the Colts get this win, and a lot of people go, oh, okay.
Colts have they played some good teams pretty close. So they upset the Ravens on the road, which I thought was a trap game if I'm honest with you. But that win's a win at the end of the day. They should have beaten the Browns, but I don't know what the refs were doing. Where refs were on that game. There are some games when you watch the Colts, they're a stingy football club. I mean, the fact that they're playing this good without
Anthony Richardson still.
Oh, that would be. I don't know if that would be good, but
I don't think they'd be as good if I'm being. I always liked Minshew more than Anthony Richardson as a passer, but
Fair enough.
Yeah, Richardson was still a raw prospect.
Yeah, I still think the Colts end up getting this win. I don't know. It's gonna be a high.
I'm not on that Browning train yet.
If I were to guess, both teams are gonna have 30 points in this game.
I don't think the Bengals are gonna get there. I'm not on the Browning train yet.
No,
it just but the Colts are like that. Remember, they let PJ Walker score 30 on them. It's like
that was more so the defense.
The Colts defense has not been great this season.
I'm talking about the Browns defense.
Well, no, I know, but I'm just saying the Colts defense also allows a lot of points. Like, they've been a lot of high-scoring games this season.
You're not wrong about
Cincinnati's run game isn't that good. Like, I know they have Joe Mixon, but he's not having a breakout year this year,
Right. Yeah, we'll see.
Well, that offensive
line. They just put up 30-some on the but they put up 30-some on the Jags, who had a good defense. Like, that's kind of what I'm getting at. Like, I don't know. Both those teams, I feel like I think we're in for a shootout again, which Colts fans, be ready for another heart attack at the end of the game. So have fun.
I think the Bengals, if I'm honest with you, I mean, their offensive line is still not fixed. They gave all that money to Orlando Brown Jr. Thank God good. He sucks. I mean, I don't know what like they're doing all this experiment. It's not working.
Yeah, it keeps like the Bengals every year draft a new offensive lineman, bring some in through free agency, trade for a new offensive, and all of them just go from being good to being bums.
Yeah, Orlando Brown, hey man, he could have stayed in Baltimore and just shut his mouth, but he had to run.
Even before Orlando Brown, it was Lyle Collins.
Right.
Oh yeah, that was a bad.
Alrighty, boyos. Jags and Browns and battle of the backups again. We got Flacco going up against the Jags, and this is a tough one because I wanted to pick the Jags. I really did, but they just lost to the Bengals, and the Browns defense I think is way better than the Jags defense, and I think Flacco has a lot more experience than Beathard. This feels like it's going to be an ugly win for the Browns. Like, the other game I said is going to be high scoring. This game I could see ending like 13-7. Like, I would not be surprised if Jacksonville's offense sputtered again. I would not, especially against the Browns defense. Despite the Browns defense being a bit injured and Myles Garrett really not being all there right now. But I don't know. This is probably going to be bad.
I told you last week, I don't see the Browns winning another game this season, and I'm going to stick to my guns and say the Browns are not going to win another game this season. Even with the Trevor Lawrence injury, Jacksonville should be able to win this game.
Fair enough.
I agree.
Alrighty. Saints and Panthers, and I believe Jameis is starting. And the Panthers played a very tight game with the Titans last week?
Yeah.
Yeah. And the Saints almost came back against the Lions, but they did started off horrible. And I don't know. While
which game?
everything in my body says the Saints are winning this game, it's a division game, it's in New Orleans, blah blah blah. I'm going with the Panthers, just because. Like they eventually are going to get a win with their new. They'll get a second win this season, some way somehow. And I do not put it past the NFC South somehow giving them at least one more win this season. So yeah, if the Panthers were to win a game, I feel like this is going to be that game.
Well, I think the Panthers. What was it? They played the Bucks close. I think they were actually close to winning at one point, but I think Baker ultimately pulled through. But I mean, I did pick the Panthers to win last week. I don't know if I put that pick in this week.
No,
but I wouldn't
you
be
guys
surprised.
picked the Saints.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if the Panthers win, though. Wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. I picked the Saints, but the Panthers do have a good chance at winning this game.
Yeah, the NFC South is a complete disaster. Alrighty, Texans Jets. I found this interesting. People gave the Jets a higher chance of winning over the Texans than they did the Panthers winning over the Saints, which I find incredible. Now I get it, the Jets are home, the Panthers on the road, but Texans versus Saints, that's the difference. CJ Stroud, while he's not going to look like the CJ Stroud we've seen all season against this Jets defense, the Texans defense is good as well. And yeah, the Jets aren't going to be able to do anything. This is going to be a horrible game for the Jets. They might get a safety or two because apparently they're better at getting safeties than touchdowns. I'm convinced the Jets are going to propose a rule. Safety should count for like 8 points or something just because they're better at doing that than scoring touchdowns.
If we get a safety, we're allowed to walk off the field with an automatic win. We'll call it that.
That would be amazing. Yeah, but no, this game, I feel bad for whoever tunes into this game, and I feel bad for whoever turns into any Jets game. Enjoy this shit show because if the Texans don't win this, yeah, who knows. But I think this is the Texans' chance to really take over the division at this point with Trevor being hurt and the Texans having a favorable schedule to finish out the season. I think the Texans could end up taking the division here. I think it starts with the Jets here.
Yep.
Alrighty.
Let's not overthink this one.
Rams Ravens. We all picked the Ravens. That being said, the Rams have been clicking a lot recently, and I get it. The Ravens are coming off a bye, but sometimes I can also bite a team if they're just not exactly ready. Like sometimes teams come off of like was it the Steelers this year that came off the bye and just did not look good. So it happens. I don't know. I think the Ravens are going to win, but if the Rams make this closer than everybody expects, I would not be surprised. If the Rams somehow pulled out a win in Baltimore, I wouldn't be surprised, but I do think the Ravens ultimately win because I think the Ravens are the best team in the AFC still, but this season, man, it's been chaos.
Yeah, I picked the Ravens.
I think I picked Baltimore to win.
Yeah, how you
I
feeling?
do think the last time I know Lamar Jackson played a game against the Rams, I think was what we called the Jackson 5. I think that was the last time we played him. We 2 years back, but Lamar didn't play that game. That was Tyler Huntley, and we still were like it was still came down to the last possession. It was the year the Rams won the Super Bowl. But like you said, I mean, I think going into this bye week is actually helpful for the Ravens because I do think it probably would get some guys healthy and on track. If I'm honest with you, but then again, with how the Rams have looked this season, I mean, they could pull one out of their ass. You never know.
For sure. Alrighty. Vikings Raiders, and this one we were actually split on this one. Shreyas took the Raiders. Ali and I took the Vikings. I think if if they end up starting Josh Dobbs, which they should, but who knows? I think him with Justin Jefferson, they're gonna be fine. I get it. It's a new Raiders team. McDaniels is gone, but I don't know. I just feel like with Justin Jefferson's return, I think it's getting too much of the Raiders to handle personally.
Yeah, I'm going with the Vikings. I think they're the better
I mean, the Raiders might pull one out. I
all-around
think.
team.
I think I really do like this interim coach. I think even though the Raiders haven't really produced the results that they thought they would produce, they are. You can tell there's a rejuvenation with the Raiders. You can tell that after McDaniel got fired, there's some sort of like passion that's like ignited again. I feel like the Raiders will pull this out. That's why I did pick them. And given how the Vikings have played the past couple weeks, I mean, wouldn't surprise me either if the Raiders won.
Mm. Alrighty, Seahawks 49ers. We all saw how this game went the first time. This one's now being played in San Fran. Everybody is saying San Fran's easily the number one team in the NFL. So, we all picked San Fran. It should be San Fran. However, if we've learned anything this NFL season, it is the second everything seems to be making sense, the exact opposite happens. So I am not going to pick against San Fran here. But if somehow the Seahawks pull this off, it would be the most, like, it would make the most sense to me just based off how this season has gone. Like, I wouldn't even be surprised just because of how the season has gone. It'd be like, yeah, the second we all think we understand how the season's going to go, everything doesn't make sense again. That totally would make sense to me that it doesn't make sense.
A massive injury update here. Alex Highsmith on concussion protocol. So I don't know what's his status going to be.
We already played this week, so like, it's not that big of a deal. Usually guys it's a long week. He'll probably be back for the next game. Going into Seahawks 49ers. The Seahawks got embarrassed the last time they played in Seattle at home on prime time in front of everybody. And I think they're going to have a chip on their shoulder. And the only thing is if the 49ers are playing for the 1 seed and they have a good chance at it. So if they weren't playing for that 1 seed, I would have picked the Seahawks. But the fact that the Niners have also something to play for, I'm going with the 49ers, even though my gut is telling me Seattle might actually pull this off just because they got embarrassed the last time they played.
Dude, I'd be so happy. I'd be so happy if this 49ers somehow lost this just because they would finally shut their fans up for a week.
Well, I mean, they think Brock Purdy's MVP candidate is pretty funny. I would rather give an MVP vote to Lamar before I give it to Brock Purdy.
Purdy isn't in the MVP of his team. CMC deserves that so much more. It is so disrespectful.
I mean, you look at some. I mean, Brock Purdy. I mean, he's not the only thing he's doing right is he's not turning the ball over. But I mean, like most times when I see Brock Purdy, I never see him play from behind. Like Has
He's
San
also
Francisco
not
ever
turning the
played?
ball over because his receivers are the most open of any receivers in the league.
Yeah. I know. Like one thing we got on, I know Lamar when he came in was they said he couldn't play from behind, but he's proven that wrong. Obviously, I think they also said the same thing about Jalen Hurts. He's proven them wrong. But Brock Purdy, I mean, when we see him play from behind, I think that was against the Browns this year. He looked bad.
Yeah.
Won't sugarcoat. He looked really.
I mean, Shanahan does not win when his team is down in the fourth quarter. They don't win. But
There's a reason why Atlanta had lost.
there is a nice thing, and that is the 49ers are really, really good at putting up points, so they shouldn't be behind come the fourth quarter. If everything goes according to how it's gone, Seahawks lose, 49ers win, whatever. Because this season makes no sense, Seahawks are probably winning, but I am not confident enough to pick it. Alrighty. Bills, Chiefs. Bills coming off the bye. Chiefs coming off a loss to the Packers here. And the Chiefs and Bills both have not looked the same. I will say the Chiefs have still gotten wins in those games, but they haven't looked the same, while the Bills have lost a couple of those. But I don't know. Bills looked really good against the Eagles. They did lose, but they still looked really good. Went into the bye. They're getting a bit healthier. I mean, there was all that stuff with Sean McDermott and the things he said about 9/11, but that came out. Did you guys hear about that?
Didn't really.
Okay, Sean McDermott, I don't think this was this year. I think this was a few years back now. But it came out that apparently he at one point used the terrorists during 9/11 as a way of showing how people came together for the same thing to pull something off.
What?
Yes. Sean McDermott used the terrorists at 9/11 as a way of showing teamwork. And there is
Wait. Oh, are you talking about how the country came together
No,
after the
he's talking
terrorist
about how the
attack?
terrorists came together to execute this plan. So, Ali, the memes have been amazing. And there's a Bills tweet from 2021 that says flying into week 10, and it's Sean McDermott in a plane. Because at some point, he did a thing where he's in a plane. And everybody's now commenting, wrong way! You're flying the wrong way! Turn around! It has been glorious. And, like, the internet be the internet, but it's really funny. It is really, really funny how bad, like, how did he think that was a good idea? Anyway, that being said, Bills Chiefs, I think, I feel like this is going to be a win for the Bills. I think it's going to be close. These two teams always play each other close. But I think this is the time the Bills finally get their win in Arrowhead. And, I really do. Something about this game is telling me the Bills are going to win it. And the Chiefs, if the Chiefs receivers keep looking like the Chiefs receivers, and the Bills defense can be the Bills defense of earlier this season, this is going to be probably a decent sized win for the Bills, but we'll see.
You look at the Bills. I mean, I thought they should have won last week against Philadelphia if Gabe Davis and Josh Allen got on the same page. They've actually looked better since I think they lost against Denver, if I'm not mistaken. That's what last game or two, I would say.
Right.
But I mean, overall, I think they should be able to pull this one off. I did pick the Bills to win because, like I said, I mean, Travis Kelce hasn't looked like the typical Travis Kelce we know, and then we obviously know about the Chiefs receivers. That doesn't need to be repeated. And Isaiah Pacheco is missing this game also, so. Yeah, they're gonna have to go with Clyde Edwards-Helaire that game, and we know Isaiah Pacheco is a great running back for Kansas City to have. So that's another shorthand. They're shorthanded already going into there.
As much as Isaiah Pacheco is my boy, considering that he did go to Rutgers, you guys keep forgetting the fact that Taylor Swift was recently named Times Magazine's Person of the Year,
Dude.
and that's gonna lead to a Chiefs win.
Yeah, that's.
So I'm going with Kansas City solely for that.
She's going to be at the game or not? If she's not, then the Chiefs probably will lose.
Yeah, we'll see.
I don't know. It seems like she's got a lot of stuff to do. She's doing like actual like in-person interviews for the first time in 4 years. Taylor Swift is living her best life right now.
Yep. Alrighty. Anyway, Broncos Chargers, and as much as I want to say, and I would have said this earlier in the season before the Broncos had turned around, that the Chargers might be able to win these two games against the Broncos and maybe they'll sneak their way into a wild card spot with all these injuries going on. But their offense gives me no confidence, and it's not Herbert's fault. His receivers are horrible at this point. Nothing's working. Staley's horrible. The defense is horrible, although they did just shut out the Patriots, but I mean, is that really an accomplishment? Um, but yeah, I don't know. The Broncos I think are gonna bounce back after that loss to that close loss to the Texans, and I think this is probably gonna be an ugly game for the Chargers.
Well, when I know I was critical of Herbert, yeah, I still think he needs to up his. I still need to see more for him. But I mean, Brandon Staley was hired as a defensive-minded guy. I mean, the Chargers have been bottom here in defense since his tenure there, and it's not the Chargers have some bad players. They have some good players on defense. I mean, I know Joey Bosa has been out, but I know
Khalil Mack leads the league in sacks.
when we play the Chargers, Khalil Mack was the only reason why they were in that fucking game because he was the one getting pressure on Lamar the whole damn time. I mean, like Derwin James is there as well. I mean, it's not a bad defense on paper. When you look at it on paper, it's probably one of the best defense in the league in terms of the names they got. It's just they can't put it together.
Coaching, that's the problem.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, it's like they have the talent.
Can they please just fire Staley?
I think they will. I think they actually said it's guaranteed to happen, barring like a miracle. It's gonna happen.
If it's this is what annoys me is the teams that are like we're gonna make a move. The guy's probably out or all that. If you've already decided he's gone, if things don't go right, like you've already decided he's gone, just get rid of him at that point. You've already made up your mind that he's going.
You don't know how that goes because you have to remember back in 2018, the Ravens were actually about to part ways with John Harbaugh when they were like under 500. Then Flacco gets hurt. Then Lamar comes in and basically saves the season and saves probably Harbaugh's NFL career. Probably. I mean, you don't know. Sometimes it can make a difference to bring a coach back after you thought of parting ways with them. You never know.
Yeah, but Staley hasn't been a head coach for his entire time. Harbaugh's at least been a good head coach.
Yeah, that's true.
One thing is like some organizations want to establish a positive working culture and want people, players, and coaches to buy into the team culture. And part of that building that culture is
owned by Spanos, and Spanos sucks.
Oh,
look at they did take him to LA, but
they just have had a cycle of underachieving, no matter what talent they put out there. I mean,
I feel so bad. I genuinely liked when they were in San Diego. Like San Diego Chargers just sound so much better than Los Angeles Chargers. I don't know.
Yeah, they had a huge fan base, in Mexico City as well. It was great.
Just put the Chargers back in San Diego, please.
Move them to Mexico. Move them to El Estadio Azteca. They'll probably get 5 times more fans than what they currently get.
Okay.
Well, Los Angeles
could do that.
Terrible.
But I don't want to have my team travel to Mexico every now and then potentially, I don't know, have crap happen or just them be shitting themselves because they drank the water or something. Like, no thanks.
No fans. They may get into trouble there with them because they'll probably piss off somebody they shouldn't be pissing off.
Could you imagine?
Yeah.
Could you imagine like the coach just gets killed by the cartel? Like they kill Staley.
How Sirianni runs his mouth, I wouldn't be surprised.
Oh my god,
awfully.
That's the only way to get rid of Staley. Move the Chargers to Mexico and let the cartel take care of it. Could you imagine? All right. Anyway, Eagles Cowboys, and I have said since the beginning of the season, I think the Eagles and Cowboys split this season home and home. That has been my prediction since the beginning. However, I'm not betting against my Eagles. I'm not going to sit here and go Jalen Hurts is going to have 2 losses in a row because that is not something Jalen Hurts does, especially recently. They are very good at bouncing back. They had 5 straight wins, then lost to the Jets, and how'd they respond? With another 5-game win streak. They just got embarrassed by the 49ers. They're going to want to step it up. They completely changed out the linebackers for this week. And while the Cowboys have been good, they just looked really shaky against the Seahawks. And while their first game was close, I think both teams have learned a lot since that first game. I think this is going to be a completely different game than that first game they played. And I do think there's a good chance the Cowboys win this one, but I still am going with the Eagles because I have to. It's my team, and I do think they have a shot at winning.
I agree. But I mean, I think given that the Eagles, the Eagles' last win in Dallas was what, 6 years ago?
Didn't
Yep.
didn't they win in Dallas last year? And then the Dallas won in Philly.
No, they lost because that was the one where that was the game where Jalen Hurts was injured and missed the game. Played.
I thought,
but I don't. No, because you won one game and that was I remember last year you won a game at home in Philadelphia because I think Dallas was starting Cooper Rush that game.
right.
And then when you played in Dallas,
yeah.
Jalen had to start Minshew that game and you lost. It was a shootout, but you lost it. But I can't remember the last time Philly won in Dallas. I genuinely can't remember the last time they did.
It was the Super Bowl year.
Okay, so
they beat Dallas both times. Or no, they beat Dallas. Yeah, they beat Dallas. Or wait, was that the year after? No, that was Super Bowl year. They beat them 37-9. Jesus Christ.
Well, I mean, I think I'm probably taking I'm taking the Cowboys just because I think they're riding hot. Obviously, Dak Prescott's looked great as much as I've been critical of him. I mean, their defense is still the Dallas defense still got a lot of great guys over there. So I picked the Cowboys to win that game. I think I picked Dallas to win.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Like I said, we usually split with them, so it wouldn't surprise me whatsoever. And I mean, if they win, they have a lot. I mean, both teams have a lot to play for, though. And even if we do lose and split with them again, based on the schedule for the rest of the season, I'm not too panicked versus Dallas. I think we have an easier schedule, so I won't be too panicked. I just rather not have to listen to Dallas fans talk like, "Oh, you guys suck. Look, you lost to us, and you got blown out by the 49ers." It's like, you also lost to us, and you also got blown out by the 49ers. So
yeah, I mean, the 49ers have a head-to-head either way. So regardless, even if none of you guys are going to catch the 49ers, even if the Eagles lose this week, you're not catching.
I mean, we're still ahead of the Niners as of right now, so.
I think if you lose, yeah, they'll probably surpass you
most likely. But I mean, their schedule isn't the easiest down the stretch. I mean, then again, I think they could win out down the stretch if they keep playing how they're playing. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see at the very least.
2 weeks that game also. They are playing Baltimore in a couple weeks, so that's going to be a tough one.
And then they're going to play the Rams in their final week, and the Rams might be playing for a playoff spot. So. And the Rams played them close earlier this season. It was a lot closer than people gave it credit for.
I didn't know.
Anyway, we got Titans and Dolphins. And I think this should be... I mean... I don't think this is going to be a very interesting Sunday night football game. If I'm being real. I think the Titans are probably going to look bad.
It's a Monday night game.
Wait,
I think I picked the Dolphins. Yeah, it's Monday because they have 2 Monday nights.
Oh, they're doubling up on Monday.
I picked the Titans because I think Tennessee is actually a very stingy team. They can easily play spoiler to any team's season. I think most of the games they've played this year have been fairly close, against some good teams.
Can we just swap the
Dolphins
teams?
blow out?
What was that?
Go ahead, Ollie.
I was going to say, the Dolphins blow out bad teams. They're not one of those teams that let, bad teams hang around, and give them a chance to win.
Yeah.
The Dolphins beat bad teams handedly, repeatedly. It's just that they end up getting beat by the good teams. But the Titans qualify as a bad team. So let's not overthink this. Let's acknowledge that the Dolphins should be able to blow this one out.
Can we just switch the away teams, please? So that so nobody has to watch Titans or the Giants on Monday night, and we can just watch Packers Dolphins. Because that would be way more entertaining.
I know the NFL makes the schedule beforehand, but some of these primetime games are pretty fucking stupid. Oh, my God.
How did neither of these games get flexed out on Monday night? Like,
Yeah, I mean,
how seriously?
let me.
How did you not put Chiefs Bills on Monday night?
You could have, well, you might as well have done that. I mean, you look at the list of primetime games coming up. You got the Eagles Cowboys. Okay, that's a great one coming up. You got let's see, on NBC
You could
next
have
week. You
put
got the Ravens.
You could have flexed Colts Bengals in to one of the Monday night slots because that one has playoff implications. Like, you could have done
And
Bucks Falcons. Not that I want to see that, but again, playoff implications. Rams Ravens. You could have done that one for playoff reasons. But like, I don't get it.
Okay.
It shouldn't. The
Here's
fact that Bills and Chiefs is not a Monday night game is so disappointing.
Gordon. Here is one that I think should be flexed. This is week 17. You have the Dolphins versus Ravens. I think that should be flexed for Green Bay and Green Bay versus Minnesota, because Green Bay versus Minnesota is currently the Sunday night game for week
Honestly,
17.
Green Bay versus Minnesota though could matter for wild card.
It depends, but like I said, it'll depend how the season goes. But I mean, in terms of, you got potentially you got potentially the AFC. This game is determining where the AFC runs to. Will it run through South Beach? Will it run through Baltimore?
Right.
You got to look at.
I agree.
That stuff.
This week is so disappointing. But yeah, Packers Giants. I think the DeVito streak ends here. Packers have looked like a complete team in recent weeks. The receivers and Jordan Love are starting to really develop some chemistry. The play calling has gotten so much better on the offense. Receivers aren't running the same routes. Everything is just starting to click for the Packers offensively. The defense has looked pretty good as well. I mean, it hasn't been the best in the league, but it's in a respectable defense, which is surprising after some of the changes they made after getting rid of Rasul Douglas. So it's a little surprising that the defense is held together so nice. But yeah, the Packers, I think, are going to destroy the Giants. And unless something goes horribly wrong, I don't think the Giants have a chance.
Well,
Yep.
Giants are the Giants. I mean, you got some delusional fans that think the Giants have a shot, and
To be fair, that turf did just injure the Packers' last quarterback. So could that turf injure another Packers quarterback? I hope not. But
that game's at MetLife. Oh shit,
dude, I swear to God, MetLife has taken out way too many players this season.
They've taken way too many players in general, man. Oh my God.
That's true.
I think when we played the Jets, I think it was last year. I think we lost one of our starting cornerbacks,
Dude,
and our
the Eagles had to play in FedEx this season and MetLife twice because we had to play the MetLife and FedEx every season, and because we played the Jets in MetLife this year, we had to play at MetLife twice. It sucks.
Like, why you lost to the Jets? God,
like,
damn,
everybody talks about how the Eagles had the hardest schedule coming into the season, and like, it's not because of not only do we get the hardest schedule opponents wise, we got the hardest for the shit opponents. We had to play the worst fields. I hate it. I'm joking. I'm not actually trying to complain as an Eagles fan. For anybody that doesn't understand that, I'm joking around. I just hate playing at both those fields.
I don't blame you. I would feel the same.
Being stuck in the division with those two teams is embarrassing. It sucks. Anyway, that's going to wrap us up for this Thursday. Thank you, boyos, for joining me, and thank you for whoever watched this all the way through, or whoever just jumped in, or if you just found this live stream up here on your YouTube recommended a year later, and then you just skip to the end to listen to me ramble for some apparent reason. I know who you are, Timothy. It's pretty cool, I guessed your name, isn't it? And if I didn't, shit. Oh well, I tried. Anyway, dumb jokes aside, thank you everybody for joining us. We'll be back on Tuesday to review week 14. Week 14? 15? What week are we on? I don't remember. Whatever. Week 14, right?
14.
Yes. We review week 14 of the NFL. I know what I'm talking about, maybe. We will see you guys next time. Thank you, everybody. Night, guys.